Hello, I'm Charlie. I work at Learning Curve Group and I'm a recruitment administrator.
I'm Dehenna Davison, the MP for Bishop Auckland and Minister for Levelling Up.
Finishing school, you don't really hear much about apprenticeships. So how would you go around promoting that for schools to obviously promote it to learners to go into apprenticeships, not just to go into sixth form? So how would you sort of promote that to colleges and everything like that?
We need to do a lot more, don't we?
Yeah,
I mean, I know when I was at school, and I'm little bit older than you, but it's not that long ago. Apprenticeships just were not talked about at all.
Yeah.
My school was very much, you're going to go to sixth form, do your A-levels, go to uni, and that's your path, right?
Yeah.
And for some people, that works and is right.
Yeah.
But I basically didn't even know apprenticeships were an option. And if they were, it was kind of in like plumbing or being an electrician or like the very kind of classic apprenticeships that you think of.
Hands-on sort of things.
Yeah. Whereas now, I mean, the range of opportunities for apprenticeships is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, yours in kind of business admin and looking towards going into recruitment. I mean, I would never have known that was a path, right? So we need to do more. I think National Apprenticeship Week is a really important kind of way of doing that, because it's kind of a whole week where we can really raise the profile of apprenticeships and brilliant apprentices like you as the front of that, kind of talking about the opportunities that are available. But I think we need to be doing more work with schools, to be honest, to actually help them to encourage kind of their youngsters to go down this path. And I think there's some responsibility on schools. There's responsibility on, I think, employers to go into schools and promote this. There's probably a bit more responsibility on kind of us as politicians to really help promote that too. But also, I'm putting a bit of responsibility on you here to kind of talk to people that you know about the brilliant opportunity you've had.
I know that our Levy team, our apprenticeship who recruit apprentices, they do a lot of going into schools. So even getting like one of the apprentices like myself to go in, give their bit of journey, tell them about their experience and everything, just to see, because obviously being in an apprenticeship, you don't really know where it ends up. You don't know where your next steps are, but obviously if I talked about that, then you'd know more about it, if you get what I mean.
And it makes it real for people, doesn't it?
And obviously employers as well. Obviously you need key advantages of what an apprenticeship is, but obviously most employers, like you say, small businesses, they're looking to grow. So obviously getting apprentices in. What would you think is the key advantages of businesses bringing in apprentices themselves?
Well, what I've certainly heard from businesses I know that have taken on apprentices is you're not just getting a kind of young, kind of hungry member of staff, because you are investing in that person in terms of their skills and their training. You tend to get someone who's like really committed and really dedicated and really wants to work incredibly hard to get on. And I've heard that kind of, that you kind of get that more from apprentices than you would just from kind of hiring more generally. And you must have found it. You must be like really thriving to get on and prove yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I know just before I started working at Learning Curve Group, I used to do a little bit of volunteering for my stepdad. He has like a garage, a mechanic. And I know I used to go in, I used to learn him things as well as him learning me things, like especially on like technical stuff. So going on Excel, Word, making sure I've got invoice templates instead of, because he was very paper organised, got the files and everything, but I just didn't work that way. So making templates on Word, Excel, and obviously you gain them skills off the apprentice yourself, don't you?
Completely. And digital, social media, etc. Oh my gosh. I mean, I know I've seen businesses who are like very stale and grey and very like corporate communications. Suddenly they get a team of like young apprentices in. They're saying like, let's do TikTok, let's do this. And it really shapes the entire image of the company.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So do you think the government are doing enough to educate employers to take on apprentices?
I think there's incentives that have been put in place, like the levy, things around kind of, kickstart to take on younger people and keep them on. There's that side of things. But I think one thing that kind of really helps at the moment is that our education secretary was an apprentice. She did a degree apprenticeship herself. She kind of gets how it works. She gets how it's different to kind of your more kind of academic educational route. And I think she is, if I'm not mistaken, I think she's the first ever education secretary who did an apprenticeship, which is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
So she really gets it. And I know prior to becoming education secretary, she was Minister for kind of apprenticeships and apprentices as well. So I think she's really been on that journey to really try and kind of shape what not just employers think about apprenticeships, but also what government more broadly thinks about apprenticeships. I mean, looking since over the past sort of 10 to 15 years, the amount of apprenticeships has risen so dramatically, which clearly is happening for a reason. I'm not going to say that's all down to government, because it isn't. I mean, it helps for sure. But I think that attitude is changing, but there's still a long way to go. And that's why, National Apprenticeship Week is really important. But I mean, what more do you think that we can be doing?
Obviously, I think the biggest thing is schools. Obviously, I know you can't go into every school and say promote apprenticeships, but obviously, I didn't really know about apprenticeships until I was approached by someone in our levy team. And they emailed me, and then that's when I started researching, getting to know more about doing the more practical side of things. And obviously one of the biggest parts is earning money, while obviously getting the qualification as well. So I think if you go into a school, obviously, and that's on the employer's part as well, going into schools, making sure you're getting that word across. But obviously getting that word across to young people, you can work, you can also get this qualification. I think that's definitely they're gonna thrive off that. They're gonna sort of make sure that they want to go and do an apprenticeship. And I know a lot of people from my school, they've went into sixth form and they didn't enjoy it, so they've messaged me and I've said, come to Learning Curve group, and some of them actually came on our PPA, which is our where we get a lot of apprentices in doing admin and customer service. And a lot of people from my school who I actually went and done my education with, they've came here and they've done the exact same thing as me. So
you're recruiting as well.
So just sort of bringing them our way.
You're getting ready for when you're a proper, recruiter. That's all.
Approaching people. But another question I've got for you: what advice would you give to us apprentices, either starting an apprentice or like me, halfway through our journey, finishing? What sort of advice would you give us?
Keep going. I think it's a bit rubbish advice, isn't it? But I think people who've chosen to do an apprenticeship have already taken such an important step in their kind of career path anyway. And it's just kind of having the confidence to know that by taking that step, you've got the opportunity to really prove yourself. It's going to be hard work for sure. But what that can lead to is amazing. I mean, we've got an education secretary who started off as an apprentice and now is literally in the cabinet. So if you're vaguely political, that's one route you could go down. But there are apprentices at the top of so many companies now. You could do that. Just means, working hard and getting on. There's just so many
routes to go through. And even if you did want to go to university, you still can. There's still choices there to obviously build and grow your skills and obviously work while you're doing it.
Because you can go right up to your level 7, which is like a master's level, isn't it? Which is amazing.
It is amazing. It's out of this world, isn't it, really?
What about you? Is that going to be where you go, or?
I would look into doing it. Definitely. I think after doing this one, obviously, you have so much work on, and then you're doing your coursework. We have one day a week that we do our coursework, or you can do half a day here, half a day there. So you do put a lot of effort into it, but in the end you get a good outcome, and obviously you get the qualification and you can say, this is what I've done. So it's a good opportunity to definitely go into.
Brilliant. So what's your one piece of advice for anyone who's thinking about doing an apprenticeship?
My advice would be go for it. Definitely don't miss the opportunity, because I feel like prime example, my friends going to sixth form, obviously all them months, and then dropping out and then coming to an apprenticeship. And obviously when you're in sixth form, you're still wanting to earn that money, you're still wanting that independence. Obviously you're starting to grow up, you're starting to pass your tests, so obviously you want that bit of life of not being an adult, but growing up, being mature. So I definitely think it's a good opportunity for all to go for and keep pushing. It's
both very similar advice. Go for it and keep going.
Definitely. Definitely.
Fab.